I think this is going to be relatively quick today, not the long, excuse me, the longer podcast that we usually do. But I think it's important. We don't like our experiences as we're, I don't know, going through whatever it is that we're going through. You think you have a vision and you expect it to go fairly smoothly until you find out there are some things I need to overcome. There are some things I need to learn about myself. There's some things happening that kind of makes me feel like I'm sidetracked. I'm not really sure if this thing is going to happen or not, or am I on the right track? Is this working? I thought I was going to be over here, but I'm over here right now. you know, I don't understand it. I don't have wisdom. I've never been here before. So you think? I want to go on this journey. I believe in this journey. But man, I keep having to fight battles. And even though I'm winning the battles, where does it come where, I actually get to enjoy all these battles I've been fighting to get somewhere? I know a couple that has been through hell and high water. But right now, they are learning to enjoy their Canaan. I don't know them well. I know them kind of from a distance. I used to know them well, to a certain degree, some years ago. But right now, they're traveling, enjoying their life, and not allowing anything to interrupt that because they put the work in, they put the time in, they put the investment in. Now they get to spend some of that time, investment, and do some of the things that they've been wanting to do during their life. Because honestly, the time is short. You don't realize it once you get to a certain age that, wait a minute, I'm actually doing pretty good through this struggle. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not your fault because it's God that gives revelation. It's God that gives the experiences. It's God that gives you the knowledge. It's God that gives you the understanding. You just have to keep seeking Him. And by the way, this is for my kids, my grandkids, my brothers and sisters in Kenya, my brothers and sisters in Ghana, my brother in Bangladesh, and whomever else considers me a teacher. God bless you. Hello. And listen, age doesn't matter. It's when you start seeking Him for real. He chooses to reveal to you at His appointed time. Now you can kind of figure it out a little bit, but I'm going to show you the pattern here in Deuteronomy chapter 29, which means I need to change this right here because I'm not redoing this video over. There you go. You got to put the effort in. If you don't put the effort in other words, allow yourself to go through the experiences without cheating death. when you start cheating, you start lying, killing, in particular, killing other people's character, stealing. Because again, one of the biggest components is love. And there are a lot of components to love, but the one I highlight often, which I believe is missing in our community, is that aspect of sacrifice. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. God so loved that he gave. Love gives. Hasn't changed. Just because he was the greatest giver doesn't mean you don't have to give. That's the pattern. Love gives. Love is sacrificial. Love doesn't give from the extra. God didn't give from the extra. We appreciate those who give from the extra. But the woman who took the most valuable thing and spread it on the feet of Jesus, I believe using her hair from her alabaster box, it was her most prized possession, showed love. The woman that didn't have the tithe, but she brought all that she had. Tithe for a rich person is easy. That's why he said, sell all you have to the rich young ruler. He didn't tell him to go poor. He just said, sell all you have, give to the poor, and follow me. Is it a different measurement for different people? Sure. But not different requirements. The requirement is simply giving. So to shortcut the journey would be the unwillingness to pay the price to get to the place where God will reveal to you all the lessons of the journey. Deuteronomy chapter 29. We're coming out of 28, and so Moses says this, because again, they didn't have chapters and verses on the scrolls. And also keep in mind, these are Moses notes. I know we look at them as books and that sort of thing. Moses was a prolific writer. And I'm trying to get you to see these people as people, not as figures. Sometimes we do a little bit too much putting people on a pedestal. And maybe my pendulum is swung the wrong way where I don't put anybody on a pedestal. I need to work on that. I remember saying that to someone. I need to work on the honoring the title thing. People that want to be called by their titles, that's, I need to work on that. Because I don't, Moses was Moses. He wasn't called apostle, pastor, just Moses. The high priest was Aaron, Eleazar. So I don't have the revelation on that yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there. Deuteronomy 29, the Coming out of Deuteronomy 28, Moses says, "These the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded." That's how you know it was coming out of 28. Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab. So he's recalling the journey because they went through Moab. They're not in Moab today. They went through Moab. Beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Okay, because they went through Horeb. Okay, this is the land of Moses' wife's parents, father, Jethro. And Moses called unto all Israel. All Israel includes the Levites and all the other tribes. And said unto them, so he's teaching, "Ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt." Sometimes people don't understand things until you recall their history to them. That's what Moses is doing. He's recalling the history of the journey. We do this in everyday life. Remember this and remember that and remember this and remember that. And Moses is saying in verse 2, after he called all Israel together, so he's making a speech, "Ye have seen all that the Lord did." The Lord is the boss. Lord is the boss. "Did before your eyes in the land of Egypt unto Pharaoh." Y'all remember that when we came out of Egypt? Remember what he did to Pharaoh? "And unto all his servants, and unto all his land. The great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great miracles." Great miracles. Remember the temptations that you dealt with? The idols and everything else? The temptations are spelled out in the New Testament: lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. But it's a summation of the temptations that you go through. Study to show yourself approved. "Which thine eyes seen, the signs and those great miracles. Yet the Lord had not," watch this, present tense, "the Lord hath not given you a heart to perceive and eyes to see and ears to hear unto this day." In other words, you still don't understand the journey. To this day, through the deliverance. The first time you go through something, you don't necessarily understand, and you win. You don't necessarily understand how to win again. But go through it a couple of times. And then you get used to it. And you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." The tragedy is people give up on the first time. Or the second time. Or the third time. However long it takes to win, you have to go on that journey. The one thing that you have to be aware of is, did God call you on that journey? There are some benchmarks you can look into to know if you did. Number one, is there a Moses in your life? I didn't plan on doing this. But there's got to be a Moses, someone who has been there, done that, and has the words of God. Hand of Moses. Proven track record. Some Egyptian experience. Seen the miracles, the locusts and the blood in the river, that sort of thing. Now you got to be careful because the devil has his own thing, but truth always swallows up falsity. In other words, have you won some battles before? Did your mentor have a mentor? Jethro. I believe that's one of the reasons why he mentioned Horeb. So he had Egyptian experience and Ethiopian experience. This guy had a resume. So you have to have a mentor who can take you on the journey. Number two, are you trying to do it by yourself, or is there a group of people, tribes of different ilks? So many people are speaking against different tribes and calling them cults. I appreciate that. But if you don't walk with the stranger and other tribes, how can you possibly show the love of God? And this is what I mean by that. You have to open yourself to the possibilities that other people need to know God as you know him, if it takes, stroking your ego, for me to say it that way. If you live out your life according to the God principles as you understand it, then you should not be intimidated by anyone around you. In other words, you have your mentor, whatever. You have people who have taken the journey. You have protection. You have a good core group. And again, I'm trying to do the best I can to put this in 21st century language. I try to keep core groups of people around me, whether it's in society, socially, in other words, socially. I stick her. Now they don't all come under the banner of Christian church. Just to be frank with you. They come under the banner of people that are walking the walk and along with talking the talk. They're doing the work. Nonprofit in Los Angeles, a not-for-profit focused mainly on children in Long Beach. I'm looking to expand that and get involved with other groups as I can. But they have to love God through the demonstration of appreciating the journey. Oh boy. I want to go back to one real quick. I thought this was going to be short, but maybe not. These words of the covenant, which the Lord commanded Moses. God didn't speak to the children of Israel or all of Israel. He commanded Moses to speak or to make the children of Israel in the land of Moab. They had a covenant. What's the covenant? It's love. That's the way you like to read it in the New Testament. But if I use in the New Testament, it's love. The greatest commandment is love. Now, there were over 62 commandments here, but they all wrap up in love as Jesus spoke. If you believe Jesus. I hope you do, because Jesus is Lord. It's just a physical being. He's also the Word. It's just a physical being. Jesus was not a lot. So he used the hand of Moses. Jesus walked it out. Moses walked it out. now you have to remember how you walked it out. These words, these speeches, these sayings, the occupation even of Moses walking the journey through Moab, through Horeb. Were you paying attention to what was going on the journey? Or were you just there taking a walk or riding in a cart? With the ox pulling. Just planning on, I'm just surviving until the next day. I just know I'm out of Egypt, thank God. Were you paying attention to the miracles? I feel like I have to drill this home, because what I don't want you to do is put me or anyone else or Moses or anyone else on a pedestal. Pay attention to the principles, because God has not revealed anything to you yet until you understand how to make this journey. That's why he's looking back. People that tell you don't look back, I think there's certain things you shouldn't look back, certain reasons not to look back, but when it comes to appreciating the wisdom of God, you have to remember what you have to go through on the journey to get to wherever, or you will lose sight of where you're going, and you will lose confidence, and it's not necessary if you're paying attention to the speech, to the saying, to the occupation, to the acts, to the mannerisms, to the matter, this is all part of the definition of words. So it's not just speaking it, it's walking it out. I have a problem and this is the truth for me. I have a problem being led by people who like to talk, but don't want to walk it out when given the opportunity. When you get with me, you get an opportunity to walk it out. Now let's see if you can walk it out. Verse 1 again. These the words, the acts, not just sayings, but there is speech involved, there are sayings involved, but these are the acts. This is the business. These are the words. That's what that words mean. Of the covenant. These are the acts of the covenant. This is the business of the covenant, which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel. These are the actions. These are the acts. This is the business that God commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel. Going all the way back, God was commanding Moses to make these acts, to make these speeches. Because he was talking to Moses. That's why you don't have understanding. He was talking to Moses. Verse 2. And Moses called unto all Israel and said to them, Ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt unto Pharaoh and unto all his servants and to all his land. Verse 3. The great temptations thine eyes have seen, the signs and the great miracles. Forgive me because I slowed down. Verse 4. Yet the Lord hath not given you a heart to perceive. You just been following. But you didn't perceive necessarily. He has not given you a heart. Right there, verse 4, Deuteronomy 29:4. Yet the Lord hath not given you a heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, unto this day. And I have led you, in verse 5, and I have led you, and I have led you, and I have led you 40 years. over 40 years at this point, but 40 years in the wilderness. Now, here's the proof that we're doing pretty good. And we talked about this in the previous video. Your clothes aren't old. Mine smell like Tide. Thanks to my sister. Your clothes aren't old. Your shoes are not old. On your foot, verse 6, you have not eaten bread, neither have you drank wine or strong drink. We didn't have time for all that out here. That ye may know that I, the Lord your God, for 40 years, you ain't missed a beat. And you've been in the jungle, in the desert, in the mountains. You've been fighting battles. I pulled you out of oppression. And yes, coming out of oppression was a tough gig because you've been doing a lot of traveling, a lot of sacrificing. But you learned how to work together corporately. It's been a long lesson for you. Taught Moses how to teach you how to do these things. You just weren't paying attention maybe that they were lessons. Because you didn't perceive them. Your eyes didn't pick up on it. Your ears didn't pick up on it. Your heart didn't retain it. It didn't capture everything. I already know because this is the pattern. And when you, verse 7, and when ye came unto this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon and Og the king of Bashan came out against us unto battle, and we smote them. You've been winning battles along the way. And we took their land and we gave it to an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. That's not how you pronounce Manasseh, because, I've been told by a Jewish brother about it. I forgot. So I took you out of oppression. I've already given you some land for inheritance. That's the pattern right there. Now, they've made a commitment, those tribes have made a commitment to cross over the Jordan and fight with their brothers, but they already have part of their land. In fact, Manasseh, the half-tribe, not only gets land on one side, they get land on the other side as well. There's a reason for that, which I don't know right now, because that's not the point. I'm going to read this last part, and we'll be done as far as the text is concerned, which is verse 9, because he draws a conclusion. Keep, therefore, the words of this covenant. So I'll put it my way. And again, study to show yourself approved. In other words, I showed you how to win, now you do it. And do them that ye may prosper in all that you do. Now, that's a lot of reading. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the whole thing, but it's been good to me. It gives me a sense of peace to have read the Torah so far. We still have about 6 chapters to go, I think. 34, 5 chapters, 4. But he just drew the conclusion right now. After this is going to be all about, not all about, but mostly about preparing Joshua to go in. But he summed it up so perfectly right there. Everything From Genesis to Deuteronomy. Keep therefore the words, and keep in mind, the words are not just speech. He walked with them. My God. He walked with them. From Exodus to Deuteronomy, he walked with them. He took care of the business of following the Spirit of God, which was no Spirit of God back then. It was the hand of Moses. And he took them out. There was an Exodus. There was training in Numbers. Leviticus. Training. If you were paying attention. What to do, what not to do. Keep walking. Lose a battle or two. Come back, readjust. Chip away at it. Still going in the same direction. Getting rid of those who don't believe, walking away from them. Whole families in some cases. But every family made it in. But there was a generation of people that had to die off because they just flat didn't believe. They didn't believe. We had people trying to hustle Aaron's position. Jockeying for position. And Moses Smooth told him, well, you want to do both? What you do and what he does? But kind of placating to him a little bit. I said, I tell you what, give me your staff and let's see who God chooses. Aaron's staff budded. I mean, come on, you catch it all. The miracles. The miracles. One of the biggest things. Oh God, I've been gone 32 minutes. I'll say this and I'll be gone because I'm taking too long. One of the biggest things I have with people is I say, listen, I'm going to show you the miracle. When they see the miracle, they take credit for the miracle. And it's like you missed the point. God just wanted to show you that you can get out of your circumstances if you learn the patterns. And you're celebrating the miracle. And you then took credit for it. Happens more than you understand. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. Or Zelle, paulcdozier@gmail.com. We're on a journey from Genesis to Revelation. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for taking this journey with us who are called to usher in the kingdom of heaven. If this is good for you, it'll be good for others. So please like and share on whatever platform you see it on. And God bless you.